Hello and thanks for your keen attention, ladies and gentlemen. It's 10:30 a.m. and time for Prime Flash on My Media Prime Television with me, Audrey Zatsa. Information reaching us early this morning indicates that thousands of persons traveling to Bamenda this morning are blocked around Akum. Trucks have been used around Mile 6 to block the road and keys taken away by alleged separatist fighters. Meanwhile, shootings are said to be ongoing around Mile 8. Traders in Oku Bui Division, Northwest Region are counting losses after the market was set on fire by alleged separatist fighters. Many are still in tears as they saw their hard-earned produce reduced to ashes. The fighters, said to have been led by General No PT, stormed the market yesterday, setting several structures on fire, including the market. Following the attack of the PCC in Tamfong, Bali over the weekend, which led to the death of a female Christian, Grace Tita Labit, and the Reverend Pastor Voma Simon Monto receiving a bullet, the Presbyterian Church in Cameroon has reacted, recounting the event, expressing deep regret concerning the incident. The PCC regrets that despite repeated appeals of a ceasefire to both the separatists or to both the government of Cameroon and the Amazonian separatist fighters who have taken up arms on the people, their hearts seem to be hardening. They have thus condemned in strongest terms the attack and hope for proper investigation to be conducted so as for those responsible to be brought to book. Let's now revisit the attack over the weekend with student journalist Ewane.
A woman named Grace has been shot dead and Reverend Pastor injured at the Presbyterian Church in Chafang in Balinyonga, Mezam Division of the Northwest Region. The bloody incident occurred during worship service on Sunday, August 22, 2021, following gunshots that were fired outside the church building, allegedly by men in military attire. Reports say Grace died on the spot after receiving a bullet in the neck, while the Reverend Pastor who sustained injuries is currently receiving treatment at a health facility. It should be noted that attacks on churches are not new in the crisis-hit regions. Cases of attacks on religious institutions have in recent times gained grounds in some parts of the conflict-hit Northwest and Southwest regions, like the case of Balangi along the Kumba-Mamfe stretch of road. In a nutshell, some Cameroonians are of the opinion that these deliberate attacks on schools and churches are meant to instill fear in parents and students as preparations for back-to-school 2021-2022 gain steam in the regions where schools have not been very effective for over 5 years now.
Traffic on the Yaoundé-Bafoussam road was interrupted for more than an hour on Sunday following an accident which occurred in the evening, killing 3 persons and leaving several persons injured. This and a series of other accidents recorded over the weekend in this report. In spite of road safety measures put in place by Transport Minister Jean-Ernest Ngalema Sena-Bibei during a crisis meeting on August 10 with stakeholders of transport agencies and the suspension of some 2 transport agencies recently due to their involvement in recent road accidents that claimed lives in the Central region, other road accidents are still recorded in Cameroon in less than a month. The most recent occurred yesterday, Sunday, August 22 at Nkolinduma, near Obala, leaving 3 dead and several wounded. A vehicle belonging to the Miss Voyage Transport Agency coming from Yaoundé violently hit a heavy-duty truck poorly parked. The cause of the incident has been attributed to poorly parked heavy-duty truck and speeding.
I was at home when I heard a sound. As I stepped out to check what was happening, I found out that the interurban bus had hit the poorly packed heavy-duty truck and rolled over, coming from Yaoundé. Just here, there were 2 deaths, and at about 100 meters there, another lifeless body was lying on the ground. We took 4 victims who were still breathing to EFO, amongst which a 4-year-old child. That is how we alerted the Obala Gendarmerie.
The driver of the Miss Voyage bus, who is suspected to have been driving under the influence of alcohol, was nowhere to be found after the collision. The victims were immediately rushed to the nearest hospital. Still, yesterday in the afternoon, several persons sustained injuries in an accident around Suza in the Mungo Division Littoral region. The accident involved a heavy-duty truck and an interurban transport bus, according to sources. The heavy-duty truck, whose driver attempted to escape control, overturned and violently hit an interurban transport bus that was heading to Douala. Trapped passengers were rescued by eyewitnesses in the area. These accidents come just 2 days after several persons were reported dead in another car crash that occurred around Bangwa in the Nde division of the West region, involving a 70-seater bus of the Fodem Interurban Travel Agency and a private Carina E vehicle. A series of accidents recorded within a short period of time that has kept many Cameroonians wondering as to what exactly could be wrong. Many, however, have attributed these to bad roads and reckless driving. Let's talk about education. Statistics of the results of the General Certificate of Education Board released over the weekend indicates that 61.94% pass was recorded in the GCE advanced level, a drop from the 64.4% recorded last year. On the other hand, a 59.08% score was recorded at the GCE ordinary level, a drop from the 64.4% recorded last year. In the technical and vocational education exam, a score of 58.81% was recorded, while a 71.59% pass was recorded in the technical and vocational education exam in the advanced level. These statistics have been made public on the board's social media handle. According to the board's chair, Professor Ivo Leketambo, there was an increase in participation at this year's session, with an additional 16,000 candidates taking the exam. The board has congratulated successful candidates while calling on those who did not make it to work harder next time and not to think about suicide as an option. A 5-day capacity building workshop to fight against gender-based violence opened yesterday here in the economic capital, Douala. The workshop was organized by the Women, Peace and Security Institute for the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center. Details with Eileen Sama.
The participants at the 5-day event taking place in Cameroon's economic capital town will be equipped with the necessary tools and measures to combat gender-based violence, a societal ill which is strongly gaining ground in Cameroon and a good number of other African countries. According to Professor Kwesi Aning, Director of Faculty of Academic Affairs and Research at the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center, Cameroon, like the other 6 countries where research was carried out on gender-based violence, shares the common factors like denial and implementation of the international instrument.
The deniability, but also that we have signed on to multiple international instruments that people don't know about. So in all the 4 or 6 countries in which the research has been done, there's a huge gap between signing on to the international instruments, domesticating the aspects of the instrument that are necessary, and ensuring that those institutions that have to apply those instruments actually do so.
Professor Kwesi Aning also highlighted that the holistic approach will definitely yield fruits in combating the societal ill.
And that is why we are bringing multiple institutions, from the investigative service to the prosecutorial services, to civil society, from youth groups to women's groups, so that collectively as a group living within our societies, we can send a signal that says, look, no more. That we need collectively to do something about it. Because our societies don't have the trust among different segments. And I think in the introduction,
AMG, baby. African music is the best in the world.
We'll use this also to build trust. Okay? Because when there is trust among different segments of our population, It is easy first to report, to provide information, to support the investigation, to provide details for the prosecutors, and finally for the judge to make the decision.
For the representative of the Minister of Women's Empowerment and the Family, parents have a primordial role to play in combating gender-based violence. The prevention of gender-based violence needs to start within the family, because what happens externally is barely a reflection of what is happening in the family. Because if within the family, parents raise kids in a peaceful, respectful, and tolerant atmosphere, I think that the children will cultivate the values and it will be reflected in their behaviors. The president of WILF Cameroon, Madame Siveline Jacqueline Ndongmo, addressing participants at the event, laid emphasis on the need for all actors and stakeholders to get involved in fighting the high rate of gender-based violence in Cameroon and beyond, while pledging her NGO's support in the fight against gender-based violence and the return for peace in Cameroon.
On our health page today, we are talking about the outbreak of Ebola virus in Africa amidst the COVID-19 pandemic worldwide, with our reporter Bokingo Worthy.
Africa faces more infectious disease outbreaks yearly than every other continent worldwide. Early this month, the World Health Organization deployed a team of experts to Guinea after an outbreak of a Marburg disease was confirmed there. Belonging to the same family as the Ebola virus disease discovered 2 weeks ago in Malawi, the Marburg virus has an estimated 88% fatality rate like the Ebola virus. Already spread in other African countries such as Angola, Congo, and Kenya, the virus possesses response element like the coronavirus, according to World Health Organization Director General.
The Ministry of Health of Guinea informed WHO of a case of Marburg virus disease in the country's southwest in a man who died 8 days after onset of symptoms. This is the first known case of Marburg in West Africa. Marburg is a very different virus to the one that caused COVID-19, but many of the elements of the response are the same.
With an estimated 100 contacts detected, including 3 family members and a health worker identified as a high-risk close contact, the Marburg virus, together with Ebola outbreak in Malawi, spreading rapidly across Africa, is linked to poor healthcare services, according to Dr. Moriti, World Health Organization Regional Director for Africa.
Africa's health challenges have become increasingly complex, with the continent facing a growing number of outbreaks and the dual challenges of communicable diseases and chronic illnesses. We can't continue business as usual. With around 50% of Africans having poor access to quality healthcare today, there is urgent need to further improve health systems across our continent, so that even in the most remote rural areas, communities can have access to healthcare services.
Unlike the Ebola virus, it should be borne in mind that the Marburg virus has no cure nor vaccine as of now. Nonetheless, the preventive measures put in place to combat the COVID-19 pandemic, which include avoiding direct contact with infected persons, wearing protective gowns, gloves, and masks, placing infected persons in strict isolation, practicing proper hand washing, and more, applies to preventing the spread of the virus disease across the continent, as well as reducing fatalities born from Ebola, Marburg, and coronavirus.
We move out of the country, where a popular Ghanaian footballer and a football commentator identified as Richard Gyamfi is currently under Ghanaian police custody for allegedly murdering 3 persons, amongst which a 13-year-old Louis Agiemang Jr. According to the police, after a thorough search in his house, it was discovered that the footballer was keeping 3 human heads packed in his refrigerator, confirming the news on a Sunyani-based Sky FM. The father of one of the deceased children, Thomas Aguier, told the host that the footballer lured his 13-year-old child from the football park in Sunyani Abesim into his room and murdered him. The accused was then arrested and taken to respond to these allegations. Zambia's newly elected President Hakainde Hichilema will be taking office this Tuesday, August 24, after a comprehensive election victory hailed as a rare triumph over authoritarianism and a milestone in African democracy. He will be taking oath before a crowd that will notably include opposition politicians from regional countries as well as current and former African leaders. And that was it for today's edition of Prime Flash. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching. You'll get details in our 6:30 p.m. Prime News with Fon Quinta. Meanwhile, stay blessed in the company of programs of My Media Prime Television.
African music is the best in the world nowadays because of its diversity coming from every side of Africa.